Welcome to Put a Word on It, a podcast presented by Men of Valor. In each episode, we're going to talk with a different man, but each one with a unique journey from brokenness to freedom. I'm your host, Rudy Kalis. I spent over 40 years as a TV sportscaster, then retired and joined the Men of Valor program as a volunteer. So join the conversation. Reconciling men to God, their families, and society. Welcome to another edition of Put a Word on It, brought to you by Interstate AC. And again, we're in kind of a sparse area here. We've had to move out of the wonderful little apartments that the men have now filled up. So we're here. This is a meeting cubicle. This is where they spend time, and they all come to Christ in here, and it's just a neat place to spend time. Speaking of neat, this is one of my favorite people. About 4 years ago in River Bend, he came into one of our meetings, and his life changed, and now he's out. Ronnie Oller is a big old guy with a smile and a tenderness about him, and all that he's been through in his life. I just want you to know him and see him and meet him, because this is a man who just exemplifies what God wants to do in our lives. Here's Ronnie. Ronnie, I couldn't wait to do this interview, and you put in your teeth for me. I appreciate it.
I did, yes.
All the time that we were together, what I loved about you is that you just talk so common sense down to what you were, and you talk about the guy that was so different way back then. I can't visualize him. What was life like?
Ronnie, I wasn't happy with Ronnie. You know what I mean? 3 decades, and then finally I meet you. And by going to Men of Valor at River Bend, man, it just changed my life. I got baptized there and everything.
But tell me about, where'd you grow up?
Just about everywhere. I was born in Lexington. I lived in Bowling Green and Daytona. My mom and dad moved a lot because of my dad's job.
Was it a good time growing up, or were you a mischievous kid?
Well, I really wasn't never a bad kid. I just, moving a lot gets to you, though. You go to one school for 4 days, and then you move, and then you go to another school for a week and a half, and then making friends was a little hard, but I was content.
Huh. But if you're content, then how did things kind of go the wrong way?
I was a runner. Anytime I got tensed up, I would run. I'd just go, you know what I'm saying? Just run away. I'd run away when I was 25. I think I was probably running from me, and it's like all that's changed now. I got here, and the first thing they said, take your time and relax. And man, that was so awesome when they said that, because, I did over 30 years. And everything was really crazy for me out here. But back then, that was me. I was just ready to take off and go do. I could leave home in the morning and take off and go to Florida. It didn't matter. I didn't have a whole lot of game plan or nothing like that.
I don't need to know the details, but 30 years, people will say, is a long time. Give me a little sense of what went wrong.
I hung out with a lot of the wrong people, and a lot of people influenced me. I just didn't have a plan, so it was like, well, Ronnie, let's do it. All right, let's roll, and sometimes you roll, and sometimes you roll too far. And then sometimes you roll and something goes real bad, then boom.
It wound up taking a life somewhere in there, didn't it?
Yes. Yeah. I didn't pull the trigger, but I've come to know that if it wasn't for me, that man wouldn't have been dead. Because somebody said, well, I'm going to do this, and then you say, oh, okay, you ain't going to do nothing. You ain't got the heart, pumping somebody up.
Yeah.
Well, I would if I had something to do it with. I gave him a pistol. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, I ain't got no way there. Come on, I'll give you a ride. Because I'm thinking in my mind the whole time, this is going to end up at Waffle House. He's going to chicken out. We're going to go eat breakfast, then come back home. But boy, it didn't turn out that way.
30 years. And other people asked you to come and join us, join, the groups that we were in. I think, was it 3 years ago that you joined us?
4, really.
4 years.
Alan Brooks was my cellie.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do it. He couldn't get me over there. I said, no, I'm good. The person that got me over was John Rowe. It was like one time, and that's all you got to do, just for me. I said, all right, one time, and that's a wrap. But what was funny about it, I went to one time, I got hooked, and John quit going. But John's out now, and he's going to church. So that's a good thing.
What I always loved about you is we would all talk, and guys would go back and forth, and then finally you just say, fellas, and you just talk in such a down-home way about how God had changed your heart that it just melted. Everybody got quiet and would just listen to you talk. He's done that to you.
Yeah, I'm from Kentucky. I'm simple, man. I mean, I love simple, and now everything's high tech. So I get to stay simple. I keep my cell phone off. When I first got there, the house phone, the sink in the kitchen, that was an obstacle to figure out how to turn on, But everybody here, they pull together. You know what I'm saying? People don't understand that this is just not a halfway house. These people actually care about you. Even when you're not in class, if you walk by them, they're going to stop and talk to you. How you doing? You doing okay? You need anything? I mean, I love it here.
Yeah. I got to ask you, do you feel like you wasted 30 years, or do you feel like there were 30 years that made you grow?
Well, I feel like I wasted 27, but the other part, the end part, where it changed my life, because I always thought that God had a special purpose for me. And that's basically what kept me from him, because I was afraid that he wanted me to spend the rest of my life there. I never dreamed of getting out of prison, And when I'm at the pro board, that's when I truly realized that I killed somebody. I didn't pull the trigger, but I killed somebody. And it just changed the whole way I looked at stuff. I've killed somebody, and he can forgive me for that.
But you would walk in, and almost every meeting at some point you'd say, I'm content. God
I am now.
Me. I'm content.
I've got a peace now. I never had that before. It's like, okay, and when we go to these classes, I listen to them, and I'm content with it, and when they're telling me this and wanting me to read that, it's just awesome, because it makes it more in my heart. Because until about 4 years ago, I never read the Bible. I don't got no memory, but if you start up something talking about a certain part of the Bible, I could jump in with you now.
You could be there.
Yeah, best book ever. You just got to study it, and this place lets you do that.
Well, you study it if you want to study it, and that's why you're studying it. Well, you know the name of our program. We call it Put a Word on It. Have you thought about it? Have you got a word for me?
Well, I look at it like this right here. I can't remember it word for word, but Proverbs 16:9.
The verse is, in his heart a man plans his way in life, but the Lord directs his steps. Now, the problem with our program is we got to get it down to one word. Can you think of a word out of that sits with you?
Directs.
Oh, I like that. Directs. And let me ask you this. Where do you think he's directing you now, or does it not matter?
really, I can't go wrong because he's not going to leave me nowhere bad. Look where he's led me so far.
God bless you, my friend.
God bless you too.
Well, there you go. There's Ronnie. He just makes me smile. He gave me a big old hug when we got done with the interview, and he gave me a big hug every time he came into the meetings. And when he talks, it's just down home conversation. He's a man whose heart has been changed. I love him. Directs. That's a great word. I like that for him because God is directing his life. He sat on the outside. Don't know if I want to go to the meeting. All of a sudden he comes in, and now God's got him. And I can't wait to see where God directs him in the future. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next time as we put a word on it.